Chapter 1: Suspicious Behavior. Unexplained Absences. In this subchapter titled Unexplained Absences, I delve into the moments that sparked my suspicion and ultimately led me to uncover the heartbreaking truth about my wife's affair with the neighbor next door. It all began with subtle signs, missed calls, mysterious outings, and unexplained absences that left me feeling uneasy. As any audience can imagine, these red flags gradually escalated, forcing me to confront the painful reality that my marriage was falling apart. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. My wife's excuses for her absences grew more far-fetched, and her behavior became increasingly secretive. As I tried to piece together the puzzle of her unexplained whereabouts, I found myself consumed by a mixture of anxiety and anger. I knew deep down that I needed to confront her about what was truly going on, but the thought of facing the truth was almost too much to bear. Despite my growing suspicions, I held on to a sliver of hope that I was simply overreacting. However, as the evidence continued to mount, I knew I could no longer turn a blind eye to the reality of my wife's infidelity. It was a painful realization that shattered the foundation of trust upon which our marriage had been built. I was left grappling with feelings of betrayal and confusion as I struggled to come to terms with the devastating truth. As I reflect on those tumultuous days, I am grateful for the clarity that emerged from the chaos. While the discovery of my wife's affair was a painful blow, it ultimately allowed me to reclaim my sense of self-worth and move forward with a newfound sense of empowerment. Through the darkness of deception, I found the strength to confront the lies and rebuild my life on a foundation of honesty and self-respect. And though the scars of betrayal may never fully heal, I am grateful for the lessons learned and the growth that emerged from the ashes of my shattered marriage. Secretive phone calls. In the midst of my heartbreak and confusion, I stumbled upon a series of secretive phone calls that would ultimately reveal the extent of my wife's affair with the neighbor next door. At first, I brushed off the late-night whispers and hushed conversations as innocent exchanges with friends or family. However, as the frequency of these calls increased and my wife grew more guarded with her phone, my suspicions began to grow. I tried to rationalize her behavior, convincing myself that I was being paranoid and irrational. But deep down, I knew something was amiss. The secrecy surrounding these phone calls only fueled my desire to uncover the truth. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to these conversations than met the eye. As I delved deeper into my investigation, I discovered that my wife had been exchanging intimate messages and making plans to meet up with the neighbor next door. The betrayal and deceit cut deep, leaving me reeling with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. The realization that my wife had been carrying on a clandestine affair right under my nose was a devastating blow. Despite the pain and betrayal, I knew that I couldn't turn a blind eye to the truth. Confronting my wife about the affair was one of the most difficult conversations I had ever had to have. The lies and excuses she tried to spin only served to confirm what I already knew in my heart. The secretive phone calls were just the tip of the iceberg, a small glimpse into the web of deceit that had been woven around me. In the aftermath of uncovering my wife's affair, I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered marriage and rebuild my life from the ground up. While the pain of betrayal still lingers, I am grateful for the clarity and closure that came from exposing the truth. The secretive phone calls that once haunted me now serve as a reminder of the strength and resilience that allowed me to confront the lies and deceit that had threatened to unravel my world. Changes in attitude. In the aftermath of discovering my wife's affair with a neighbor next door, I found myself grappling with a myriad of emotions. Anger, hurt, betrayal, and confusion all seemed to swirl around me, threatening to overwhelm my sense of self. However, as time passed and I began to process what had happened, I realized that my attitude towards the situation needed to change in order to move forward. One of the first changes in attitude that I had to make was to accept that I could not control the actions of others. I had to come to terms with the fact that my wife had made the decision to cheat, and that ultimately, her actions were her own responsibility. This realization allowed me to let go of some of the anger and resentment that I had been holding on to, and to focus instead on healing myself. Another important shift in attitude came in the form of forgiveness. While it was not easy, I knew that holding on to bitterness and resentment would only continue to poison my own well-being. By choosing to forgive my wife and the neighbor next door, I was able to release myself from the emotional burden of carrying around negative feelings. This act of forgiveness was not for their benefit, but for my own peace of mind. I also had to change my attitude towards trust. After being betrayed by someone I loved and trusted, it was natural for me to want to close myself off from others in order to protect myself from further pain. However, I knew that shutting myself off from the possibility of new relationships would only serve to isolate me further. Instead, I made a conscious effort to remain open to the idea of trusting again, albeit with caution. Ultimately, the changes in attitude that I underwent as a result of my wife's affair with the neighbor next door led me to a place of greater self-awareness and personal growth. While the experience was undoubtedly painful, it also provided me with an opportunity to reevaluate my own values and priorities. By choosing to approach the situation with a constructive attitude, I was able to emerge from the ordeal stronger and more resilient than ever before.